In our first part, Best Places in Europe, we introduced you to places in the Czech Republic, Austria, and Germany. This time our journey takes us first to Greece, the cradle of Western civilization. Among other places, we will introduce you to 2 islands and the world-famous Meteora monasteries. After that we visit Romania, an underestimated part of Europe. Romania is a fascinating country, characterized by old cities, enchanted castles, modern metropolises, and above all, a lot of untouched nature. Finally, in this part of our journey through Europe, we go to beautiful Slovakia. We show you the capital and one of the most visited castles in Central Europe. If you enjoy this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. You won't find blue and white sugar cube houses in Corfu. Instead, you will be greeted by a magnificent Venetian architectural style with pastel-colored houses. Nevertheless, Corfu is also typically Greek. Wonderful beaches, delicious Greek cuisine, and incredibly warm inhabitants inspire every vacationer. On the second largest island of the archipelago in the Ionian Sea, there is a lot to discover on Corfu vacation. Corfu is one of the most popular islands in Greece. The island has long been appreciated as a vacation destination. Even Sissi, the former Empress of Austria, had a summer residence built here. Today, 100,000 people live on Corfu, also called Kerkyra. Greece connoisseurs enjoy especially the lush green vegetation. The heart of the island is Corfu town. Here life pulsates, day and night, and many Corfu vacationers come to the old town to stroll and store, but also to try out the many tavernas and party at night at the marina. Mykonos is one of the most popular and expensive islands in the Cyclades, a group of islands in the Greek South Aegean. Inspired by its former reputation as a paradise for those who have renounced a conventional way of life and love, Mykonos is best known for its wild party nights. But it also has another side: dream beaches, beautiful landscapes, small mills, and charming cobbled streets. Few visitors, however, come here to admire the island's cubist Cycladic architecture, whose white country chapels dot the hills and create a picturesque view. And few know that Mykonos also offers a good starting point for archaeological day trips to nearby islands like Delos. Mykonos is not very big. There are 2 villages, Kora and Aniomera. Mykonos town, or Kora, is the capital and the picturesque village of the island. The landmarks of Kora are the Kato Mili windmills located on a hill, the beautiful Little Venice neighborhood, and the beautiful Panagia Paraportioni church. With traditional architecture and a hectic atmosphere, the town is characterized by its cosmopolitan ambience and lively nightlife. Aniomera is the second largest village in Mykonos after Kora. It is smaller, quieter, and not as crowded as Kora. It is famous for the monastery of Panagia Torliani and quiet beaches, the perfect place to go for those who want to enjoy the beauty of Mykonos away from the hustle and bustle. The Meteora monasteries are located near the city of Kalambaka in the Greek region of Thessaly. They are certainly among the most impressive sights in Greece. To the east of the Pindos Mountains, mighty cliffs of sandstone rise to a height of about 500 meters, on whose peaks 24 monasteries were once built. In 6 of them monks and nuns still live today. The monasteries are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites and are often referred to as floating monasteries because they almost look like this in fog or low clouds. The first monks settled in this area in the 11th century. In the late Middle Ages, around the 14th century, the friars began to build monasteries in the most impossible places, which were hard to reach. Where paths and roads lead upwards today, the rocks were slippery at that time. The monks transported the material up with self-built elevators and ropes, and they used rope ladders to reach the construction sites themselves. In the early 1980s, the makers of the James Bond flicks also discovered the breathtaking location for themselves. Although the monks initially resisted, the film For Your Eyes Only with Roger Moore was shot here. The setting was the 15th century monastery of Agia Triada, which you can still enter today. From up here you have a unique view over the surroundings. The 4 million inhabitants city of Athens is also the capital of Greece and is considered the cradle of Western civilization. Once this metropolis formed the center of Greek antiquity. The history of this historic cosmopolitan city goes back more than 3,000 years, and the exceptionally rich cultural heritage can be admired on a city tour at almost every corner of the city center. A must-see and at the same time the most important site in Athens is of course the huge Acropolis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which sits proudly on a high hill and dominates the general cityscape. Really worth seeing, however, are also the many fantastic museums in Athens, where you can dive deep into the history of antiquity. And of course the spectacular excavation sites with the ancient temples and the historic buildings that can be found on almost every corner of the old town. For those who like shopping, it is best to stroll along the long Ermou Street, the famous boulevard of the city center. The Plaka district, the old town of Athens, is also beautiful, with charming alleyways and colorful tavernas to enjoy. Bucharest in Romania was once known as Little Paris and is a capital city with a long history that blends with its modern identity. The sites in Bucharest may not be immediately recognizable, as is the case with other European capitals. But for the curious, this city almost bubbles with hidden treasures. The architecture is both dizzying and fascinating. There are Byzantine buildings here, 16th, 17th and 18th century churches, Art Nouveau mansions, and neoclassical facades that survived earthquakes, war and later communism. There is block slab masonry here, as at the gigantic Palace of Parliament, the creation of former dictator Nicolae Ceausescu. Bucharest's charm is especially evident when exploring the city parks, admiring the works in the excellent museums, and getting lost in the bumpy but charming alleys that run through the old town. A stroll down Calea Victoriae, arguably the city's most beautiful street, is simply wonderful for viewing the country's grandest buildings and significant monuments, a testament to times gone by. In Romania, the Transfagarasan is the most famous road in the Carpathians. The road was built during the Ceausescu dictatorship in the early 70s. As the name suggests, it crosses the Fagras, the highest mountains in Romania. Dark forests, narrow gorges, rugged mountains in cold clouds, wild shepherds with skinny sheep and fierce dogs, this is the Fagras. The road is over 100 kilometers long and goes from Muntenia to Transylvania, that is, from Great Wallachia to Transylvania. In the north it starts at Cărtușoara, not far from Sibiu, in the south behind Cortea de Argeș. It was necessary to build several hundred bridges for the road. The highest point of the road is at La Culbelea, a glacial lake. There are also a few cabanas there where you can eat or buy souvenirs. In summer there is always something going on there. However, the summer is short at Pasul Belea, which is why it is only open from the end of June until October. Brasov is the largest city in Transylvania with about 280,000 inhabitants. Its location in the wooded mountainous region of the Carpathians is unique. In the middle of the old city walls lies the market square with the town hall from the Gothic and Baroque periods. Brasov was founded in 1211 by the Knights of the Teutonic Order, in what was then Dacian country. For centuries, Brasov was the religious and economic center of the Transylvanian Saxons, along with Sibiu. And the humanist Johannes Hontorus, 1498–1549, initiated the Reformation of Transylvania from here. The old town hall was built in 1420 on the town hall square, and from here the city and the surrounding Burzenland was governed for more than 500 years. It was the seat of the city magistrate. It is the most prominent building in the town. In the Black Church, named after the town fire in 1689, there is a magnificent beechwood organ with over 4,000 pipes. The whole church is one of the most important architectural monuments in Romania and a landmark of the city. Numerous myths surround the castle in Transylvania, in the heart of Romania. Made famous by Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, this mystical place has always fascinated people. The castle is located about 30 kilometers from Brasov and was built in 1377. The castle complex has experienced numerous wars and was besieged for the first time by the Turkish army in 1436, followed by an attack by the Wallachians in 1529. The third siege happened again in 1789 by a Turkish army. The castle withstood all its enemies. Since the Second World War, the castle has been considered a tourist attraction, the fascination of which continues unabated to this day. A donation to the Romanian Queen Maria led to the transformation of the military fortress into a fairy tale castle. In 2006, the building fell back into the possession of the Habsburgs and was increasingly turned into a tourist stronghold. In 1897, Bram Stoker's novel Dracula mentioned a building that corresponds in location and appearance to Bran Castle. The historical model for Count Dracula, Vlad Tepes, Prince of Wallachia, most likely never stayed in the building. Nevertheless, the legend is still alive. Bratislava, the city located on both sides of the Danube, is the present capital of the young Slovak Republic. It is the largest city in the country. The city is located in the extreme south of the country and almost borders Austria and Hungary. It is just 60 kilometers to Vienna. You can get a good overview from the Castle Hill, from which you can enjoy a panoramic view of the city and the surrounding area, all the way to the Slavin War Memorial. You should not miss the Old Town, which has almost largely preserved its Gothic Baroque style. The region around Bratislava has been settled since ancient times, probably thanks to its fertile location on the banks of the Danube. Celts, Romans, Germans, Slavs, all have left their traces here. Bratislava Castle is the symbol of the city. It is located west of the Old Town on a rock, 85 meters high above the Danube. Its origins date back to the 10th century and it has been modified over time. Today it is used for representative purposes of the Slovak parliament and as a museum. The Jewel of Bojnice, a small town near Prievidza, is the fairy tale castle Bojnice Castle, in Slovak Bojnice Castle, one of the most visited and beautiful castles not only in Slovakia, but also in Central Europe. In the past it was owned by the most famous noble families, the last one being the Pulfis. Today you can visit the castle collections of the Museum of Art History. The first furnishings and works of art from the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries are on display. Unique and most valuable is a late Gothic collection of paintings, the so-called Altar of Bojnice by the Florentine master Nardo di Cione from the middle of the 14th century. A visit to the castle also includes a tour of the dripstone cave below the castle, which is connected to 26 different castle wells. At the end of April to the beginning of May, Bojnice Castle becomes a meeting place for ghosts, witches and vampires from all over the world. In front of the entrance to the castle stands the famous ancient Bojnice linden tree of King Matthias, whose trunk circumference is about 12.5 meters.